Hello everyone and welcome back to the RCZ, and today we're changing the starter motor. Now this is the starter motor specifically to the diesel model. This is for 2 litre diesel here. The starter motor itself is just kind of sort of chilling on the front of the engine here. You can kind of see it just in there, sneaking in, just there it is. Yep, that's it right there, that blurry there is just in focus right there. Now I don't know where it is on the petrol model. If it is in the same place then you might be able to follow this guide, but not really. If it isn't, so alright, let's get straight into it. So first thing we need to remove is the airbox in its entirety. So to start with that, we're going to disconnect the MAV sensor. We don't actually just need to disconnect the wiring, and there is actually another little wiring piece underneath it which I'll show you in a second because I completely forgot about it. And then we're going to remove just loosen this off and remove the intake there at the back. Alright, and with that loosened, you should be able to just twist it off like that. I had to stop recording because I've only got one hand free, but that comes off there. Alright, after that we now need to look at the airbox. Alright, so if you follow me down here, you'll see right down here is a little latch, and there's the latch, and with it you just need to press it down or in and it should come free. If you then use your other hand to then lift the entire airbox out, it will just come out as one piece. But wait, no, I forgot one thing, the wiring. Alright, so just next to the MAV sensor, it's actually clipped on underneath it as well. That needs to be removed. Then once it's removed, then you can remove the entire thing. So just completely ignore the broken latch clip down the bottom there, and also that hose. But now look at all this open space we got to work with. So we've got 3 bolts for the starter motor. That's what we're removing, and there they are. Ignore the tiny one on the bottom left there, but the other 3 are necessary. Alright, so next step is to remove the battery. And by remove it, I mean not remove it at all. I'm actually just going to disconnect it. So we're just going to remove the positive terminal here by lifting up the plastic latch, like so. Lift it up all the way, and then it should be able to just come out like that. I'm going to leave it on top of the cover. There's probably a more secure way of doing it. But that looks fine to me, and it kind of holds itself in place, so it's fine. Alright, so before I get started, I do want to have a look at this weird hose thing. I'm not sure if it's an air intake or if it's like an overflow pipe or what it is, but it's not having a good day, so I'm just gonna get rid of that bit, and I'll deal with the rest in a bit. But again, I have no idea what it is or where it goes to. But the last thing I wanted to do is kind of melt itself closed, which it looks like it was doing. So we'll deal with that later. But that's it for now. Alright, so let's get started. My plan was at first to just loosen up every bolt, firstly to make sure they actually moved, because if they didn't then we'd be in a bit of trouble. So we're starting here with the top right one, just because it was easiest to get to. I'm using a hex kit adapter, so I can't quite remember what size it was because I just used whatever, I just kept using them until they fit. The bottom one is the exact same size. Again, I could tell you. This one did need a slight extension on it, and it does need to go underneath this metal pipe here. Again, I'm not quite sure what that's for, but just make sure you don't try and don't knock it too much. Alright, and with those 2 broken, well, not broken, but loosened, we move on to the third one. Now the third one's a bit of a strange case. It comes in 2 different parts. So we've got this first piece here, which, if I remember correctly, is a 16. But I can't quite remember, so I do apologise. And the inner one is the exact same. It also comes with this bracket here, which strangely enough seems to actually go underneath almost this harness here. It kind of attaches underneath there. You can sort of see it, and that needs to then come out. Well, not come out, but it needs to move. It needs to come off. Okay, so I've pulled it off the thread here. There doesn't seem to be an easy way to actually remove it, so it is going to be in the way a little bit. But it's not that annoying. It is annoying, but it's okay. Alright, so back to it. So using an extended 16, I've actually managed to find quite a long one here, which does manage to fit right on the end there. If you're having trouble, you might need to use a spanner, but that seems to fit just on. It's just touching it there. Alright, so with all three bolts definitely loose and like, they're not going to snap or anything, I figured I'd actually make some room for when it comes out. So we're going to start with the top cover here. I can just come off there, throw it out of the way. And I'm also going to remove the intake hoses. So starting from the right, just off the intercooler here, I'm going to remove this one here, that one there, just so that whole pipe can be removed. I'm also just going to move this one, just so that the I can wiggle it out of the way and like stuff like that. So again, same procedure as last time. Use the flathead screwdriver to loosen up the zip thing. I don't even know what to call that. And then if you rotate them, if you just wiggle them left and right, using two hands, of course. This isn't working with one, but you can remove it. And there you go. That's look at all that extra room. I got this one just wiggling about. You can maneuver that around and stuff like that. But now I've got all this extra room just to help get the starter motor out. Right, so the way I thought this was originally mounted was that the bolts themselves would actually hold the weight of the starter motor, but it doesn't seem that way. It does seem to like actually just sit there. It just is quite happily just mounted itself. The bolts just hold it on. So I thought there would be a lot of weight still on it. So I've actually started with the bottom one because I didn't want the weight of it leaning on the bottom one. But it doesn't seem to be like weighing on it at all. It's a strange setup. So you'll notice here when you are removing the bottom one that it actually doesn't come out. It is actually kind of crashing into this thing here. Don't worry too much. As you pull the starter motor back later, it is free to come out then, so don't worry, you don't have to remove anything else. It's just for now. Okay, so I'm going to start skipping ahead a little bit here. Basically all three bolts other than the bottom one are like really easy to get out. See, I'm just moving this one by hand. Like I said before, the weight of the starter motor isn't on them, so they are quite easy to remove. So I'll skip ahead here a little bit to the actual removal of it. Okay, so you can see here that I've pulled it back a little bit now. I've got all three bolts out. They're all out and they're on the floor. And you can see it's sort of free. It's kind of wiggling around. Now we need to get rid of the actual electrical wiring, which is quite difficult actually. I'd suggest getting it out with the starter motor out halfway. So first thing we're going to do is loosen up the wiring. This is the wiring directly from the battery. It's all harnessed here just to keep it tight. So we're just going to loosen it up, and that should give us a bit more leeway and some more play. And then we're going to bring the starter motor out halfway. It will kind of rest on the intake hoses quite nicely actually. Okay, so with it out halfway, there's two terminals to remove. The positive is a 13mm, I think, and the ground is an 8. So make sure you have that. Make sure you have a really skinny 8 as well, because it is a really tight fit in there. And you'll see here I've just removed the 13. The 8 you can see there is so small and tiny. You're gonna need you're gonna need tiny fingers. And that's it. With them both removed, it is now free just to sort of wiggle out. And this is what I'm replacing it with, a brand new, well, not brand new, a remanufactured one. I bought it directly from Valio, so it shouldn't, I mean, it is remanufactured, but it's remanufactured by them and they made the original, so there shouldn't be anything wrong with it. And with the old one out, I would say try and check for a part number, but if there was a part number there, I think I've just brushed it away. It's gone. And of course, put them side by side, check they are identical, and also see what parts you might be missing. See here, this has got a little locator, and also you'll need to take the nuts from the old one as well. But otherwise, these are pretty identical. There are like some like minor differences in the paint and like in other things, but they're the same part. They're clearly the same part. Alright, so the only thing left to do now is to move the locator over, and it's just a little thing. It just closes up. So we're just gonna squeeze it in there with a pair of pliers. That's also how you get it out the old one. So squeeze it in there with a pair of pliers. I just put it in my lap here, and yeah, just make sure it's definitely in there. You also get a hammer out as well, I'd suggest. Cool, and then once that's in place, the only thing left to do is reinsert the starter motor. It does go in exactly the same way it came out. If you're having trouble getting the motor in, I don't have any more footage after this, sorry. But I found sort of rotating it in place actually seemed to work. So if you're having trouble actually getting it back in, it does kind of sort of like almost go sort of lurch itself in clockwise. But yeah, otherwise that's it. Good luck, and yeah, the only other footage I've got is of me snipping the hose. So yeah, and and I did put some blue roll in these intakes because it started raining. All right, before anyone says anything. Probably should have done that before, just in case like a cat went in there or something. But yeah, there you go. The snip all gone. All right, so with everything back in place, let's see if it starts. So we got some lights on, that's the battery working. Don't worry about the flashing lights, that's just the camera picking them up, strange. Hey! She starts. Alright, and with the engine started, I'm just going to very quickly check that I haven't like blown the ECU or done anything weird. So we're doing a little check here, we've got a service and 8,000 miles. And everything looks good. We've even got good oil, which is nice. Anyway, I hope you lot have enjoyed. I do need to reset the clock, but I will do that next time. And yeah, that's it. I hope you lot have enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Hopefully this has been really helpful. If it hasn't been helpful, I'm really sorry. I tried. Alright, I'll see you all next time. Bye.